pase, pierna derecha, directo al arco, ¡golazo! ¡Golazo!
The world of football with a soccer perspective. This is Soccer Today with Duane, Rollins and Kevin Laramee, live on the Sports Podcasting Network.
Good day, good night. Welcome to Soccer Today for Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018. Flying solo today, we wish a speedy recovery to Duane Rollins. There's a bit of a bug going around, and you can hear my voice is a bit more nasally than normal. At least I can have a voice, so that's why I'm flying solo today, and we wish a speedy recovery for Duane's voice. Hopefully Duane can join us tomorrow for our show, because tonight it's the Champions League. Yes, tonight the CONCACAF Champions League semifinals. America, Toronto at BMO Field, the first leg. But as well, this afternoon is the quarterfinal of the UEFA Champions League. But this weekend, we had Major League Soccer action. We had the debut of Zlatan. And yes, the billing lived up to the hype, I guess. Zlatan scored the game equalizer and the game winner. And we'll talk about this in our now famous segment called our Ballons of the Weekend. You know, our Boule de Bois, Ballon de Bronze, Ballon de Silver, and our Ballon Gold for the weekend. And my Boule de Bois started actually Friday night. Toronto FC, RSL. Toronto wins 3-1. A debacle for RSL. Once again, Mike Pepke enraged after the game. A 22 seconds of anthology. We will put it on tomorrow's show. But yeah, we'll talk about it with Duane tomorrow. But Mike Pepke not happy on Friday night. Not happy since the beginning of the season. It's 2 years in a row RSL does not start the way they should. And last year, after 3 years, it cost the job of the head coach, was replaced by Gassar was replaced by Mike Pepke. And now this season, more of the same. In a season where everyone was expecting RSL to maybe go back, not necessarily to their former glory, but to be a contender, to be a playoff team, to be a top 5 team in the Western Conference at least. So far, this is not happening, and for RSL, they are my Boule de Bois. Their performance, my Boule de Bois for Friday night. And you're asking, Kevin, what's your Ballon de Bronze? My Ballon de Bronze goes to Schweinsteiger. Chicago Fire rallied back for a 2-2 draw against Portland on Saturday afternoon. I watched that game. I don't know why. I do that to myself. Watch Chicago. Portland looked a way better team majority of that game. Chicago did not look good. They scored 2 goals. They got a point at home, but looked terrible. There's like a lack of speed. I don't know. There's like a lack of movement. There's like a lack of something. A lack of soccer. There's a lack of soccer when I'm watching Chicago play. And Saturday was one of those games where you're watching them. You're like, all right, is there something wrong with my TV? I don't know. Image seems still. Okay, it's just the old legs of Chicago on the ball, I guess. That's what it looked like. Schweinsteiger did not do a whole lot in this game. Crossed midfield maybe twice in the attacking half and was able to create 2 goals. Influential in 2 goals at least. An assist on the goal, Nikolic, and then for the tying goal, it was a ball that was kind of like a dead ball type situation, kind of like a throw in, a pass to Schweinsteiger. Schweinsteiger whips it in, cross it in about from 30 yards, and it finds the head of Nikolic, and it finds its way into the goal, and it's 2-2. And Chicago holds on for the draw at home versus Portland. So that's Ballon de Bronze. Good on you, Schweinsteiger. 2 influential moments, but not as much as our Ballon de Silver. Ballon de Silver, my player of the week. It will be announced later today which of the few players that journalists voted for will be the player of the week today. My vote went to Dominic Badji of Colorado. A hat trick his first hat-trick in Major League Soccer for the Colorado Rapids. A big victory for the Rapids and Badgie. 3 goals for Colorado. It is worthy of my Ballon de Silver and on my Player of the Week vote. I have a feeling someone else might get the Player of the Week just because of a name recognition. Do you know what that means? You know when you only need to say the first name of someone to truly know who you're talking about? Yeah, if I say Kevin, there's a lot of choices out there. If I go back to my childhood, whenever I was saying my name is Kevin, they're like, yeah, so you like Kevin McAllister? Oh, you're like Kevin Costner? Oh, no, you're like Kevin Baga, which was a French Montreal singer, terrible one. And that's name recognition. When you name a name and it makes you think of someone. When I say Zlatan, who do you think of? There's not even a second option. There's not a second possibility. It's one man, and one man only. And that's name recognition. And like even Drogba, we say Didier. Yes, I think of Didier Drogba. But I say Didier, you can think of Didier Deschamps, you can think of Didier whatever, But I say Zlatan. I don't care what bubble you live in. I don't care. I say to you, Zlatan. You say to me, oh yeah, soccer. Exactly. Well, Zlatan might be the Player of the Week. If I get the polls correctly, if I can see trends, the way journalists have been voting, and yours truly included, the good story gets the vote. And Zlatan is, I guess, the good story. If you don't read England newspapers and European newspapers, by the way, because they're trashing Major League Soccer, saying like a man who can't even make it to the 18 of a team in England comes in MLS and dominates. No, he didn't. He had 2 moments. Which brings me to my Ballon of Gold. Zlatan, of course. Who else? Who else would I have chosen for my moment of the weekend? Come on. A goal from almost midfield as your first ball touch of your MLS career. You haven't done nothing yet. You come onto the field. First thing you do, you hit the ball from about 50 yards into the net. Miller, I don't know what he was doing. He's wondering what he was doing. Zlatan knew. Miller, I guess, was attracted by the limelight, attracted by the glitz and glamour of the Z-Man. Seeing him far away, getting sucked in, stuck in no man's land, but is outside of the edge of the box, outside the edge of the box, stuck there in no man's land. Zlatan sees this like, oh man, welcome to Zlatan, Miller. Welcome to Zlatan. And it's 3-3. Come on. Exactly. But then, the play that for me shows even more is soccer IQ, because those 2 plays only happen because he has awareness. Awareness of what he does on the field. Awareness of where the ball is at all time on the pitch. Awareness of if he's onside or not. Awareness if the goalkeeper is out of his line or not, which explains the first one. And the second goal. Jeez. Ashley Cole gets the ball. Well, first of all, there's a lob pass in front of Ashley Cole, and Zlatan was in the vicinity of that too. But knowing that Zlatan was offside, Zlatan himself noticed that he was offside, didn't even make a move towards the ball, so play continues, puts himself in another position. Ashley Cole gets to the ball, he's like, yeah, Zlatan's going towards the box. I'm going to lob it, I'm going to cross it, going to put it somewhere in the box vicinity, and Zlatan's going to do the rest. And he's going to get the win for us in the first El Trafico. And he does. And I have to say, the beginning, what a game. What a weekend. What a weekend of soccer. 4-3 across the board. Victories, goals galore. I don't know if you saw Major League Soccer's, MLSsoccer.com, this video on social media and on the website of all the goals of Week 5. Well, there's a lot. The video was like 10 minutes long. Every single goal, curling shots, crazy, beautiful goals from far away, from up close, some penalties. What a weekend of soccer in Major League Soccer. Seriously. This season is fun so far. I don't care what you say. I don't care. It's a retirement league. Look, Zlatan comes back and he scores twice. What does it say? I don't give a rat's upper leg part. I don't care. I'm having fun. I'm watching those games. I'm watching those goals. And I am truly entertained. Are you entertained? Well, you can tell us at Soccer Today SPN, at Kev Laramee, as well on social media. You can find the on-demand version of the show always at sportspodcastingnetwork.com and anywhere and everywhere you get your podcasts. That would be Google Play Store, iTunes, which is Apple Play Store, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your shows. You should find Soccer Today SPN, and if you don't, let me know. I'll put it where you want it, because that's how we roll. And speaking of, that's how we roll. This week, it's this week, first week of April, we're setting up the recording time for our brand new venture, which is the Two Solitude Soccer Podcast. Yeah, that name rings a bell. Throwback. But this time, you got to fork out some money. You got to put that money where your mouth is. You wanted the comeback of the Two Solitudes Podcast? Well, we are. We are recording our podcast version of this brand new show, covering everything Canadian Premier League and Canadian soccer, and that only. It's about Canada. It's about north of the 47th parallel. $2 a month will give you access to the Two Solitudes Soccer Podcast. Makes sense, right? There's Two Solitudes, a Baca Solitude, and that's two. It's Two Solitudes. Duane Rollins, Keaton Robbins, and myself will be back to explain everything Canadian soccer business on this week's first show. What is Canadian soccer business? It is Canada's equivalent of some? Is it the Canadian Premier League's equivalent of some? Is it even bigger? What is it? We'll talk about this on the first edition of the Two Solitude Soccer Podcast, which you can get for $2 a month. You'll get a special code. You can put that code in your podcast applications. It'll give you the private feed with the first episode dropping in the next few days. $2 a month gets you access to the Two Solitude Soccer Podcast. No other promises than Canadian soccer on that show once a week. And you can find that on patreon.com. That's patreon.com/sports podcasting network. We'll be right back after this break for the Canadian review.
You are listening to Soccer Today. Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTodaySPN and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sports Podcasting Network. You can find the podcast version of all the shows we do on iTunes, Apple Podcast, Google Play Store, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and anywhere you get your podcast.
We're back on Soccer Today. Kevin Laramee here, usually joined by Duane Rollins. Duane Rollins is resting his non-existent voice for today, so speedy recovery to Duane Rollins. You can wish him a speedy recovery on Twitter at 24th Minute. And you can follow myself at the same time at Kev Laramee. And by the way, you're all listening to our video portion. You're listening live or on demand on YouTube or on Sports Podcast Network. Take a second, click the red button right below, right here, subscribe, and make sure you're always caught up to our live shows on our YouTube page, which is conveniently located at youtube.com/sports podcasting network. Undefeated. This is what Canadian soccer is this weekend. Undefeated. 3 wins for the 3 teams in Major League Soccer from Canada. 2 of those on the road, and a statement win for their first one in Major League Soccer for 2018 for TFC. 3-1 RSL. We've talked about this. RSL looked bad, TFC looked decent, and TFC gets the first win with still a lot of changes with tonight in mind, where they receive Club America at home for the first leg of the semifinal of the CONCACAF Champions League, which we'll be talking about in a second. But Then Friday night, Toronto won 3-1. And it was their first win in Major League Soccer. Still below that red line. And it's still quite fun to see if you are from the same part of the world as I am. If you're listening from Toronto, don't worry. You know your team's good. You know they're going to turn it around. Focus ain't on the league yet. Still training camp. It's about the CCL. So don't even worry about it. Montreal, 2 wins in a row. This one on the road to Seattle. What a goal. That goal was built by Nacho. It was a type of nacho that was extra layered with extra pulled pork and extra olives. It's an extra nacho because that nacho was filthy, delicious, tasty. And when I say filthy, it's in the positive side. It's a positive side of filthy. It was, man, that's filthy. The heel kind of pass by, the heel flick by Safir Tider to keep that play alive, to give the ball to Piatti at the edge of the box, and then Piatti just, to the left, oh, to my right, to the left, oh, Roman Torres, you're going to need new ankles. Moving on. Oh, wait, Vargas, you're by yourself. How about you score? They're not expecting that. And they weren't. And they scored. And they got the points on the road. Montreal, 1-0. Versus Seattle, late Saturday night. And a bit earlier in the day, Vancouver traveled to Columbus. And Vancouver, helmed by Kai Kamara, against his former team, pulled out his best performance as a Whitecap yet. And Vancouver scores twice on the road to get the win and be second in the Western Conference if we look at the standings, which we will be in a minute. So for Vancouver, not too shabby. Way better than anticipated. Just it's the grind, it's the hustle. Doesn't have to be pretty. Sometimes it is, but it doesn't have to. And that's what I kind of like. It's about the results. It's kind of like what I like about Montreal so far. So far, the team that's disappointed me watching them during the regular season, at least, in 2018 from Canada, is Toronto. But when you look at the CCL and you look at it as a whole, it's understandable. You see that progression. You see the care, the caution that's being played in Major League Soccer right now if you're Toronto. They're caution about their starting 11. They're caution about playing time and that emotion to make sure it's present for the CCL, for tonight, for 8 p.m. So, I understand. But when you look at Montreal and Vancouver, I kind of see a progression. I kind of see a growth. And if you are a newly built squad together with some change up and kind of like a rejuvenation in Vancouver and giving Davies the keys to the car and stuff, you see that. And if you see Montreal, for me, Montreal is, we'll see the new staff and some of the new players, the young kids playing like the Crowley Keys and Rémi Garde and his staff, we'll see them make mistakes. What we don't want to see is the same mistake being repeated. And so far, that has not been the case. So far, every minute of play from the Montreal Impact since the beginning of the season has been a progression forward, has been a learning experience. And every aspect that Rémi Garde saw, analyzed, and adjusted the team and himself to, success came out of. The win against Toronto, of course, and the win against Seattle. Big up to Evan Bush. The way Evan Bush is goaling right now is I have a little phrase for it, like a little small sentence for it. It's like kiss, but the second S is an E, so it's keys, like a keys. But his keys to success, as in KISE, is keep it simple, Evan. And he is. Doesn't have to be spectacular anymore. And that, for me, is a true sign of a goalkeeper in the best time of his career. He's in the spotlight. He's on. In other terms, in creative terms, would say he has the flow right now. He's in the zone. He's got tunnel vision, but in a good way. Is he keep it simple. He's well placed, which eliminates the necessity for big dive saves, for big parades, for big lunging stop from far away with fingertips. That's what being well placed stops. Is you don't need those saves anymore because, well, you just need to put your hand in front of your body, you stop the ball, you put your leg out, you are better placed. And Evan Bush is a lot more confident. He's a lot more aware of his positioning at all time. And I don't think that's a stranger to Joel Batz's presence with the Montreal Impact and how he's changing a bit of the goalkeeper mentality and how they created a bit of a competition inside the goalkeeper squad where, yes, Evan Bush is playing right now, but he looks behind him and he sees Clément Diop and James Pentemis and Jason Ball. In that order, in the depth chart order of the Montreal Impact goalkeeper right now, it's Evan Bush, Clément Diop, Jason Beaulieu, James Pentemis. But still, he might feel the Frenchman breathing down his neck. And if you have the coach, he feels a few Frenchmen breathing down his neck, which is probably not that fun. And now he needs to up his game. Physical game. Fitness game. He's one of the players that to the naked eye it shows. To the eye in the locker room shows even more. He's very fit right now. The Daniel Lovitz, for me, and Evan Bush. Look at their jawline. Right here underneath. Well, I don't know if you're watching the podcast. You can't see it, but maybe that's why you should watch the video in my brand new studio. But right here, this part right here, just underneath the jawline. That's when you know you're fit. When you're hydrated to your fullest level, there's no inflammation anywhere close to your nodules that are right behind here. So you have a certain look to yourself. Evan is fit as I've seen anyone ever. Same for Daniel Lovitz. And you see this in their play, but I think it really shows. And that level of fitness brings a level of confidence. That brings a level of performance that we're seeing from Evan Bush. And I am surprised by the result of the Montreal Impact over the last 2 games and how they looked overall in their first 4 games. It's week 5, but it's 4 games for Montreal. 2 losses to start the year. Not outclassed in those 2 losses and 2 wins to continue. I'm quite happy so far with not just the points on the board, but how they were put there and how Montreal is looking and how they are performing as a whole with a crop of new players. And now depth is not as much an issue with the latest acquisition. So those things are all positive if you like the Montreal Impact. And if you don't, well, just beat them next time you play against them. We'll take a small break. When we come back, it's about the CCL and the Champions League this afternoon.
You are listening to Soccer Today. Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTodaySPN and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sports Podcasting Network.
Yeah, I discovered something amazing this weekend. Yeah, coffee warmer. You know, when you're like me and you like your coffee, but you do shows where you can't drink your coffee all the time because you're talking, and then the coffee gets cold. Well, guess what? Coffee warmers exist, and those things are magical. Let me just tell you right now. I feel the magic working. And you all know what they say about a good cup of coffee, don't you? When you're having that warm liquid in your hand and you take that first sip, and it goes down your esophagus. A cup of coffee, especially that first sip, it's a hug to your soul. And that's exactly how I feel right now when I think about the Champions League coming back this afternoon, quarterfinals. Damn right. 2 games on the docket today. Sevilla Bayern at 2:45 and Juventus Real Madrid at 2:45. 2 great games. Yes, Sevilla is going to be under threat, under siege. It won't be easy, even though they'll be at home. Real Madrid traveling to Turin to play to Torino to face Juventus will be interesting too. And there's 2 games tomorrow, of course. Liverpool Man City, the All England affair, and Barcelona Roma That's an interesting matchup too, Barcelona. Which, if you are, again, continue in Montreal. Belou Tabla yesterday trained with the first team, trained with Messi and company before their departure for Roma. So, Belou, slowly, it's like the second time in 3 weeks, he practices with a big club. It almost becomes a habit. He's been called upon for the Copa de la Catalunya, which is a kind of like a Gala Cup, but still, Belou's progress with Barcelona, it's on schedule. And you know what? At first, I was like, yeah, we'll see. It's Barca B, and can he? Now there's no more can he. It's when. Belou will be a superstar. Yep. That's how I feel it now. It was held back. Not for any fault of anyone. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying sometimes when you look at players around you and you're not seeing what you want to see, like you wish you would be, you wanted to play with a Messi or Ronaldo because you think you can be that and you want to see how they do it, but you're not turning with that level. You feel you need to. That's what he did. Moving back to Champions League, Juventus Real Madrid. That's the game on the marquee that's getting my attention. That's what I will be watching today. Can Real Madrid get a result in Turin? Can Juventus be Juventus, which means bonker down, not allow anything, and maybe get a lucky break on a counter and get a score? Maybe Dybala. We'll see. Juventus of this year, we'll see if they can replicate the performance of last year. The thing is every opportunity that goes now their way, it's a question, will they get back to that level? Juventus is a club that goes through cycle. It's a club that when it gets to being at the position where they are, it's not even about Serie A. It's not even a contest anymore. It might be in the near future with the sudden rise of the Milan teams now and other contenders. But we're looking at in the European level. If we're looking at their best players, outside of the Higuain, they traded Pogba when Pogba's value was their highest. Dybala's value is going to be high very soon. It's going to be at his highest very soon. La Liga phone calls will be coming. Madrid, Barcelona will be texting you and be like, what's up, man? How about Dybala? How much? Perfect. Here's a check. So it's a cycle for Juventus. Buffon might even retire soon. I know we think it might never happen. That Buffon might never retire. He might be eternal. That could be the case. Buffon could be an alien living among us and us not even knowing it. And then when we're looking 20, 30, 40 years from now, he's still starting with Juventus and for Italy. Maybe. That could very well be possible. Like if it's possible for one human being to be an alien, he's in my top 10 list of candidates. But outside of that, the cycle and Juventus is at the end of that cycle and not at the beginning. And usually it's 3-4 years, and they didn't get the wins yet. They got their presence in the semis and the quarters, and even in the final, they didn't get the win in the Champions League. And the opportunity is dwindling down because Madrid's still there, and Madrid is going to have something to say about it today. Now, Sevilla, that's the other question. Sevilla is facing Bayern. Bayern, slowly but surely, they're always there. They don't necessarily have the big guns anymore to play with Madrid and Barcelona on a home and away front, on a 2-leg. Because sometimes on a home and away leg or home and away series, your best player, a.k.a. Messi or Ronaldo, dictates what's going to happen. When everything else is equal, the one crop that is better than the rest makes a difference. And good players, great players do that. So Messi, Ronaldo sometimes. Nothing you could do, You see the guy destroy 5 ankles on 5 pairs of ankle on his way to score. Nothing you can do. Just watch Messi. You applaud. You take the ball out of the net. And you start again. And when you see Ronaldo, you do the same. But outside of that, there's not a lot of chance for Bayern to actually, in a home and away series, to beat one of the 2 favorites of this year's, maybe 3, but do I include Man City as high as Madrid or Barcelona? No, but they're 3rd right now in my depth chart of the UEFA Champions League. Who has the most probability of winning in my mind, of course, is Barcelona, Madrid, Man City right now. That's the top 3 in the right order, in my opinion. We'll see if Salah has something to do about it. Mo Salah scores 3 goals tomorrow for Liverpool. It could be possible, but it's Man City. It's not like Crystal Palace. So there's that. But it's still interesting games today in the Champions League, which brings me to tonight. Champions League once again, but a different kind. The CONCACAF Champions League. And tonight, Club America visits Toronto at BMO Field. And that will be interesting. And speaking of Club America and Major League Soccer, Darwin Quintero has been announced as the first ever designated player for Minnesota United. I've been waiting years. It's about time for my Darwin Quintero CONCACAF Champions League story. We go back, way back to 2015. Kevin's in Mexico. That's me. I'm in Mexico City. It's the CONCACAF Champions League final. We're there to watch Club America. So we're there watching the training at the training ground of Club America. So watching training. And I don't speak Spanish. Mi no habla español. So it's not necessarily wanting to do any interviews with players. But I'm a guy with a smile on his face usually. So people look at me and they nod and they smile. And sometimes they talk to me. So that happens. So I'm there, Club America, so Quintero practices. We had no eye shots at talking to them. They were far away, the cameras, but then they passed by and just, he nods, I'm like, I nod. I'm like, all right. I made eye contact with the guy. We'll see what happens out of it. We'll see if he stops to see me in the mixed zone instead of just passing by now because I made contact with him or something. And I was after the game, Montreal get the goal, 1 win and everything. And at the end of the mixed zone, he doesn't really talk to me, but he passes in front. Says hi, then he looks, he's like, you from Montreal? I'm like, yes. Like, okay, like, we're traveling, like, is it cold? I'm like, yes. Like, mucho frío? I'm like, like, okay. So, it's 1-1 the result. Next week, the week after, the second leg is in Montreal. At the Big O, Stade Olympique, which did not end the way we wanted. But anyways, Club America won. That's not the story. Story is we're there, the mixed zone. Like, yeah. Do I get any comments from America players? I don't necessarily want to. Just there. They're having a party and you can hear the party. You can smell the alcohol and the Heineken, which was a sponsor of the tournament at that point. Heineken and cheap champagne, to be fair. It was cheap champagne. You could smell it and it was very, very present in the air. And we all wanted the trophy. Like, we wanted to see the bit of the trophy. We wanted to talk to people, and it wasn't necessarily easy. But Darwin Quintero comes, like, he just walks by. He looks at me. He smiles. I'm like, all right, cool. I might talk to the guy. I might actually get something with the guy. All right, Darwin, come here. You're like, no. You're like, wait a minute. Like, okay, I'll wait 2 minutes if you want me to. All this by sign language, by the way, because, well, I don't speak Spanish. Mi no habla español. Un poquito comprendo. Sí. 2 cerveza. Por favor. Darwin Quintero tells me, wait a second, Kevin, just wait. All right. Goes back in. Then I heard some laughs. Like, hey, where are you going? Well, kind of like something. If, in my mind, I would imagine someone saying, where are you going in Spanish? That's how it would sound. And I see Quintero comes out with the CCL trophy. And I have a picture of this in my, if you go to my Facebook page, personal Facebook page, you'll find an album from 2015 of the CCL and in Montreal, and you'll find that picture of Quintero with the trophy, looking at me, pointing to the trophy, pointing to his chest, pointing to Club America, pointing to him, saying, bye-bye, leaving with the trophy. Like, did we just get trolled by Quintero? Did he just come out and just taunted us? Yeah. He's a prankster. So Minnesota United fans, you're getting a prankster. But I'd rather have that than a player with no personality. I love my personalities. That's what it's all about. It's about people being who they are. Not just wanting to be, be who you are. Be who you can be. Be all that you can be. So probably the best advice I can give to myself and to anyone listening. But this is not a motivational show. This is not a show about self-empowerment or better you. No, it's a damn soccer show. And tonight, 8 p.m. TSN, Toronto FC, Club America. Semifinal. First leg of the semifinals. And tomorrow at 10 p.m. in Guadalajara, New York Red Bulls travels to the second biggest Mexico city. Well, no. Second biggest city in Mexico. It's not Mexico City. It's the second biggest city in Mexico, Ciudad de Guadalajara, to face Chivas. Can Red Bulls continue on their great run, both in the league and in the continent? We'll see that tomorrow at 10 p.m. But tonight, first, CONCACAF Champions League, Toronto, Club America, and we'll give you all the details about it in tomorrow's show. Hopefully, Duane is joining us tomorrow for the show. Again, a speedy recovery to Duane. He's been having a hard time the last few days. Hopefully, the voice is back. And as always, you can follow Duane on Twitter at 24th Minute and myself at Kev Laramee. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are listening to the video. And if you are listening on any podcast application, make sure you subscribe to the Sports Podcasting Network feed and to Soccer Today. We'll be back tomorrow. And to make sure you do not miss on the first episode of the Two Solid Dudes Soccer Podcast for patrons only, dropping a bit later this week. We're recording this, we're starting to record bits here and there. Duane Rollins, Keaton Robbins, and myself talking about everything Canadian Premier League. And the topic of the first show, one of the topics, is Canadian soccer business. We will tell you all you need to know about this new entity that appeared in our landscape last week. And as always, until tomorrow, I'm Kevin Laramee. You can follow me on Twitter at Kev Laramee, KEVLARAMEE. Until tomorrow, have a great soccer.
You can find the podcast version of all the shows we do on iTunes, Apple Podcast, Google Play Store, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and anywhere you get your podcast.